Welcome to our live stream, Year 6. It's lovely to have you all here with us today. We're planning to have a little think about your move out of primary school to high school and the worries that you might have about this. My name's Fran and I work with children and young people to improve their mental health. I'm part of a team that supports the transition to high school, and now I'll introduce you to the rest of the team. So we've got Vicky, we've got Mel and Fern. Before we get started today, we thought it'd be helpful to see how everyone's feeling using the numbers from the raw rainbow. You might already use this in school, where 10 means you're feeling super happy and 1 is feeling really low. So in your classes, can you show your teachers on your hands how you're feeling? And your teachers can tell us an average for your class by commenting on the Padlet. So for me today, I think I'm about a 7 at the moment because I'm quite excited to be here and the sun's shining. How are you feeling, Vicky? What number are you?
You know what, Fran, I'm probably about a 7 too, because I'm really happy to be here today, but I am a bit nervous about doing this live session because it's my first time.
And Fern, how are you feeling?
I think I'm about a 6. I'm a little bit nervous as well. I'm really excited, but I'm also not feeling very well today, so that's why I'm a 6 rather than a little bit higher.
Okay, and Mel, what about you?
Hi everyone, I'm probably about a 6 today as well. I've had a super busy morning, and yeah, I'm a little bit nervous as well, so yeah, I'm about a 6.
Okay, so it would be nice to see what kind of numbers you're feeling as well. So Year 6, you've already told us some things that you're worried about when moving up to high school, but we thought it might be a good idea now to find out what your biggest fears are today, and also what you're looking forward to, what you're excited about. Fern, can you explain how they can do that for us?
Sorry there, my computer wouldn't unmute. Yeah, we're going to use something called Mentimeter. We sent it out to your teachers beforehand. So if you want to go to menti.com, and the code is on the screen for you, it's 33328595. And then what you can do is you can tell us in your classes what you're most excited about and what you are most nervous about in terms of going to high school. We can only answer once, so I think it might be a good idea if maybe you vote as a class, and then maybe your teacher can tell us what the highest vote was for. I'll share it on screen now so you can see people's answers. So you've got a few things to choose from. We can think about, making new friends, starting new subjects, which is quite exciting for some people, going to a new environment, which is always really exciting, meeting new teachers, getting to wear a new uniform, being more independent and, having more responsibilities. So I can see that a lot of you already saying new environment and making new friends as their top ones. Fran, what do you think your most exciting thing was when you moved to high school?
Yeah, I think I was looking forward to meeting new friends as well, because I went to a school where it wasn't, not many of my friends that I had in primary school were going to that school, so I was looking forward to making new friends.
Yeah, I think mine was the same. I was only one of the only people from my school actually that went to the high school, so I think that was really exciting for me as well. And the new uniform, I was excited to wear a tie.
Oh, I hated my uniform. We've got loads of people looking forward to making new friends there, haven't we?
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a really exciting part of going to a new school, isn't it? Meeting lots of new people.
Yeah. So we can see on the Padlet as well, we've got lots of hellos from St Paul's and Dovedale and Kingsley. And on our raw rainbows, there's lots of people feeling 6 and 7, the same as us, wasn't it?
Brilliant. Right, I'm going to move us on to the next question now. So thank you, those people who voted on this one. We're going to have a little look at the next poll, which is thinking about what you are more nervous about. Now, some of the things that some of you are excited about might be some of the things that other people are nervous about. So it'll be really interesting to see what your answers are for this. So again, you should be able to enter those answers now. So I'm trying to think what I was most nervous about when I started school. I think for me, it was the journey to school, because my primary school was really close to my house, but I had to get the bus quite a long way to go to school. What about yours, Fran?
Do you know what? I think as much as I was looking forward to making friends, I was nervous about that as well, because I didn't know if I would. So I was going to a school where I didn't know many people, and that was probably the thing I was worried the most about.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I think I was quite worried about that as well. But I can see our answers, quite a lot of people are worried about getting lost around school. Yeah, and a few others as well, making friends.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what that shows us is that it's really common to have worries, isn't it? When you're going into a situation that's new or different, or any change really, lots of you have got the same thoughts, and sometimes knowing that somebody understands what you're thinking can be really helpful. Okay. So we're going to hand you over now to Vicky and Mel, who are going to speak to some Year 7 students.
Hi everybody, so we're really lucky today because we've actually got Fazackley School in West Derby with us. Now, what we've asked the schools to do is answer a few questions that you might be having around the transition. So myself and Vic are going to ask a few questions to West Derby and Fazackley, and then we're going to give you an opportunity on the Padlet at the end to send in any questions that you might want them to answer. So they've been super brave to come on today, so thank you so much. The first question then that I have, is what is the best thing about high school? So what has been the best thing since starting last year? So we'll start with West Derby, if that's okay. And don't forget to unmute yourself, West Derby. Thank you.
The best thing about moving to secondary school was making some new friends, because friends last a lifetime, so it was really good to have new ones. I would say it was difficult at the start to make new friends, because I was quite nervous about if I would fit in. But my parents gave me a piece of advice that just try to socialise with the people around you.
Oh, super. Thank you so much for that. So you're kind of the best thing, even though you was a bit nervous, it was very much that you've made lots of new friends. Fab. What about Fazackley then? So what's been the best thing about high school for you since moving last year?
It's not scary as in meeting friends, because you get to meet new friends and you get to be dependent by going to your own classes, and it'll be much funner. You get to learn more, and it'll be much more funner as well.
Brill. So it's been very much about meeting new people, but also about kind of learning new things and going to new classes. Yeah, fab. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to hand over to Vicky now. Oh, Vicky, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was wondering, did you have any worries going to secondary school? And if so, what helped you with these worries? So, West Derby, if you could answer that one.
Yeah, I had very many worries, but I was thinking about how the older kids would treat us and stuff, because we're Year 7 and we're starting secondary school. But no, how would my friends from primary come in, and how would they settle? So that's what was one of my worries, and how many friends from my old primary would come to this new school. I suppose but making new friends is also really cool and stuff like that.
And what helps? So it sounds like you were worried about how you'd be treated by all the older kids, and it sounds like you were worried about making friends. But what helped then? What helped you with that?
Probably like the teachers and stuff, getting used to them, and then getting used to how to act around in secondary school, and then getting like friends.
Yeah. So you found it really, really good that you could get help from your teachers, and then making them new friends and getting used to it was good for you as well. That sounds really good. Thank you. What about you, exactly? What worries did you have?
I was worried that I was going to make no friends and schoolwork was going to be like really, really hard, and everyone was going to be ahead of me and I was going to be behind.
Yeah, I think they're really common worries about schoolwork being hard and making friends. And what helped you with those worries?
I just started talking to people, and then when I talked to like a person, they'd be talking to another person, and then I'd become friends with all of them because they'd been talking to other people. And the schoolwork isn't really that hard as I thought it was going to be, because I thought it was going to be really, really hard math, but it wasn't really hard.
So would you say it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be? You thought maybe a bit worse, and then actually it was okay afterwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's brilliant. Okay, Mel, over to you.
Yeah, so we've heard quite a lot about friendships, and we've heard that it's kind of really exciting, but it's also quite a worry for a lot of people. So we wanted to know, what would your kind of best advice be for people that are wanting to meet and make new friends at high school? So if we start with West Derby again, if that's okay.
Yeah, so my bit of advice would be just to be yourself, because you're more likely to mix with people that you're actually to have like common interests with you, rather than you trying to pretend to be someone else.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, so just kind of be yourself, because you find people that connect well with you and that are really similar to you. Fab. And what about for Zachary then? What about for Zachary? How kind of, or what would you give for advice for making new friends at high school?
Well, since everyone's like moved to like a new school and it's different, like a lot of people might not have so many friends, so you just don't be nervous about it. So then you can make quite a lot of friends there.
Amazing. So kind of that everyone's in the same position, so lots and lots of people are moving to high school, and it is a really scary time, but you've also managed to make lots of friends as well there. Amazing. And over to you, Vic, for the last question.
Okay, I've just got a couple from the Padlet. Before we do, we're going to talk about top tips, but some of the primary schools are asking, is it much harder at high school? So, or is it not as bad? What do you think, West Derby?
Yeah, so obviously you're going to be learning new things, but I feel like you will be guided through that, so it's not, you won't ever be stuck there thinking, oh, I can't do this. There will be someone to guide you there and help you whatever you're struggling with.
Brilliant. So even though you're learning new things, there's lots of help there for people to get support with. Yeah, brilliant. And what about you, Zachary? Is high school much harder?
No.
No, not as bad as you thought. What about, is it fun or boring at high school? Sorry, for Zachary, what did you think? Was it fun or boring at high school?
It's more fun because you can do like more practical than you can in primary school.
Yeah. So lots of new activities, lots of new things that you probably didn't get a chance to do in primary school. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
And any advice? So West Derby, have you got any advice about getting lost? Because that's a big concern of some schools. So Hay Green have asked that. Any advice about getting lost around the buildings?
Just ask the teachers and that, because they're willing to help you get around the buildings. Just, they understand that it's new, it's weird, it's a bit, you get lost, as they say. So ask the staff and they'll help you.
Brilliant. So if you are worried about that, when you get to high school, you just ask the teachers, ask the staff, and they'll help you. Yeah. Anything?
Also, at West Derby, you get a tour your first day, so you know all the buildings and how you're going to be at your uniform. But if there's any help on the schedules that you get as soon as you come into the school, there'll be little things that say B18, and you can go there. Because it says B18 on all the doors, so we have different buildings for Cranfield and Quarries. It'll go Q for Quarry, like Q1, and then you can find your way to Q1, and it'll be on the door.
So lots of information, and it's all got lots of signs for you to find your way around. So that should be really helpful, shouldn't it? That's great. So what I want to ask you, the last question is about your top tips. So Fazakli, we'll start with you. Have you got a top tip for our Year 6 children starting secondary school?
Don't be nervous, making friends, because it's fun and they've got to be there to help you as well. Like, don't be scared to ask teachers for help.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice, isn't it? Don't be scared to ask for help. Brilliant. Okay, what about you, West Derby, top tips?
Just be prepared and have fun. That's all I can really say. You just have fun at school, so make the most of it.
Yeah. And there's lots of children who are a little bit worried about bullying. Would you give any advice for children worrying about that side of things?
It shouldn't happen. And if it does, tell a member of staff or a trusted adult, and it'll get sorted out. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We've just got a few more that are coming through. So now's kind of the opportunity that we wanted to give you, just to, or for all schools, just to send in. So I know that some of you already are sending in some questions, but we've got a few more for you. So West Derby and Fazakli, I hope that you don't mind. We've just got a few more. We've got quite a lot of talking points. So we've got, how long did it take to learn where everything was in the school? Because I guess finding or losing your way around school is quite a big worry for a lot of people. I remember when I went to a new school, it was really, really scary because it was quite big. So how long has it taken you, would you say, to actually get to know your school and where things are? So we'll start with West Derby, if that's okay.
It took me about a week to find out where everything is, because most of the classrooms you need to go in West Derby is marked with certain sections. So like John said, there's Bankfield, Quarry, and other buildings where you can find it.
Super. So about a week. Would everybody else at West Derby agree, or did it take them any different? Did it take them longer? Did it take them shorter?
I would say it took me shorter.
Okay, so it might vary between people, and I guess that's really normal as well. But how about Fazakli? Because I guess you've got a different school. How long did it take you to find your way around? Oh, I'm really sorry, Fazakli. You're on mute. Sorry.
It took us like 2 days because the year 11 guardians were out of the school.
Oh, super. So you had some older kind of pupils that helped you around the school as well?
Yeah.
Super. Okay. We've got kind of asking about the first day and how that was for you. Was it quite scary? Was it exciting?
It was a little scary because there was a lot of new people. It was kind of like a mix. It was like scary, but you were also excited at the same time about it.
Okay, so it was kind of exciting but scary, and I guess that's really, really normal as well, because it is exciting, but I can imagine how kind of scary that is. What about West Derby?
Yeah, it was quite scary just to take you into this big hall and you're like, oh, this is, if only knew it was like this big, I'm never going to find my way around here. But then you get the tour and your really fun teachers and actually feel like they're really nice, and it's actually it's really well marked. You can see the buildings, how you get to your lesson.
Oh, super. So we've got maybe time for just a couple more questions. So if any other schools want to pop them in, if there is any that we don't answer, what we'll do, we'll make a note of them and we'll hopefully try and get some of those answers for you from the pupils. But we've got a school hours longer at high school compared to primary school. West Derby, what do you think?
It depends on the school, like, because you could have shorter days, you could have longer days, and it could depend on the day as well. So if it's like half term, for instance, you get a shorter day or a longer day. Also, what was I going to say now?
It also depends on feels like what lesson you've got, because if you like a lesson, to me it definitely goes a lot quicker. And if you dislike a lesson, it will probably feel a lot longer than it actually is.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. I remember some lessons felt like a long time for me. What about for Zachary? How do you feel? What do you think about the school hours? Do you think they're longer? Do you think they're the same, or do you think they feel shorter?
I think they're shorter, but some lessons can feel longer than the others, but I think it's shorter.
Shorter. And I'll pass you over to Vic for the last few questions.
Okay, thanks, Mel. Okay, and a lot of children worry about homework. So, how much homework is that? What's it like? To maybe West Derby?
So with homework wise, you can get detention if you don't do it on time. But some teachers can put up some homework and say, oh, it's all right if you don't do it in time. But because we use this site called Satchel One, and they put up all our homework there. If you don't have Wi-Fi, you can have school access and get it from the school computers at the ICT suite. So homework, it's not that bad, but if you get a key, you can take forever and you can put on the game in time and stuff like that. So
It definitely feels a lot longer. When you first look at it, it definitely looks like a lot more than you actually get. It definitely is a lot shorter.
So when you look at your homework, it looks long, but actually it's shorter than you think. It looks like a lot. Sometimes when is it like all electronic and it's all written down online and everything? And how do you find that? How do you find the online homework?
Online homework it makes life a lot easier because it's quick, it's easy, you can access it, and you can just see what you're doing a lot quicker and get it done a lot easier.
Yeah, fab. That sounds really exciting as well to be able to do it by online. What about you, Zachary? How's the homework for you?
Well, we don't really get home that often, but the times we do, it's only online homework. So it just makes it nice and quick, and sometimes it's quite fun.
Yeah, good. Well, that sounds really, really exciting, and another exciting thing. So I think there's one question about what should Year 6 children prepare for them to be able to start high school? What kind of things do you think they'd need to do beforehand? Exactly, you could answer that one for us.
Maybe get used to having a routine, because you wake up earlier and it'll be harder, but it'll feel like lessons will take a long time, and the work is like the same but a bit harder. So you have to get in a routine of waking up early and just getting ready and everything.
Yeah. So it sounds like for you, getting into a good routine and being prepared beforehand really helped. Yeah. And maybe people can practice that before they start. That would be a really good idea, wouldn't it? Okay, and West Derby, just the last question. Is it scary going on the bus on your own? If any of you travel to school by yourself, how is that? How is that for you?
well, I don't really take the bus, but I have taken it on my own by myself very, very much. And you know what? It's not that bad. You get used to it from time to time. It's like your parents, but like by your side in like a ghost version. So it's not bad if you're going to school on the bus, but if you're walking, it can be a bit hectic if there's no lights and you have to cross. So it's not that scary.
So it's not sounds like it's not as scary as you thought it would be. Oh, well, our time's up now, Year 7s. Me and Mel, I'd really like to thank you so much for coming and talking to us and all the Year 6 children. I don't know about you, Mel, but I think that must be really helpful to hear your experiences and hear that actually it's not as bad as they thought at first, and there's loads of ways they can make things better for them.
Oh yeah, you've been so helpful. Thank you so much to both schools, so for West Derby and to Fazackley. Thank you. And we're going to hand you over now to Fern and Fran.
Okay, so that was interesting, wasn't it, to hear about how when those Year 7 pupils were in Year 6, they had some worries as well, but actually when they've got there, they've found ways to cope, and it actually might not have been as bad as they were expecting. So when we're thinking about worry, it helps us to understand worry when we think about our thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. And we know that what we think can impact our mood, and that what we're thinking and feeling can impact what we do, which can then affect our next thought, and so on, and that can go round in a little cycle. Fern, can you think of a time where your worry thought has an effect on your feelings and your behaviour?
Yeah, so when I was in secondary school, I used to really like doing school plays, but I remember the very first time that I was in a school play, I kept having thoughts about, oh no, what if I fall over on stage, or what if I look silly? And that made me feel really scared, and I was nervous. And I know that my behaviour changed because I started crying sometimes when I was at home. I also got a bit grumpy with my dad, and that was all because I was having these thoughts about being nervous on my school play. So I think, that now I know about this, that really helps me understand how my thoughts about the school play and whether I was going to get it right or not affected my feelings and my behaviour.
Yeah, I think that's really important to think about, isn't it? That when we have those thoughts, they pop into our mind, and sometimes it can take over what we think then for the rest of the day, can't it? And we've got to remember that just because we have a thought, it doesn't make it true. We don't have to leave or listen to those thoughts. Sometimes the thoughts aren't helpful. Year 6, we'd like you now to have a little discussion in your classes about a time that you've tried something new or gone through a change, maybe done something different, and you were worried, and what your worry thoughts were and how that's impacted your feelings and maybe what you've done as well. So we're going to give you 2 minutes on a timer, and you just have a little chat about that in your pairs maybe, and then come back to us in 2 minutes. Here we go. I hope you're able to think about some changes that you've been through and how that's impacted your thoughts and worries and behaviours. And we're going to show you a little video now that might help to summarise that a little bit better for us.
You know that scared or nervous feeling you get when you have to do something you're not sure you can do? Or go somewhere you've never been before? That feeling is called anxiety. And it can feel a bit different for each person, but it usually doesn't feel very nice. Maybe your palms get sweaty, or your body tenses up, or maybe you get a tummy ache. Maybe you've heard of anxiety, or maybe you haven't, but you've definitely felt it before. Because everyone feels it sometimes. It's normal. You want to know something really weird about anxiety? It's actually trying to help you. It's true. All those uncomfortable feelings, those happen because your brain thinks you're in danger and it wants to protect you. When our muscles tense up and we sweat, it gets us ready to do a lot of exercise, which is helpful if you need to jump out of the way of a runaway train or wrestle a wolverine. Sometimes our minds go blank and we feel like we can't move or talk. That would be great if we needed to hide. Instead, we just feel stuck. When your brain does this, it's called fight, flight, or freeze. The problem is, sometimes your brain gets confused and it can't tell the difference between a charging moose and, say, going to a new school. Both things can be scary and cause anxiety. But there aren't any dangerous wild animals at a new school. Hopefully. Understanding where anxiety comes from is the first step in learning to deal with it. So the next time you're in one of those tough situations and you start to feel those feelings, like butterflies in your stomach or sweaty palms, or it gets hard to talk or move, remember, there's nothing wrong with your body. You're just having normal feelings of anxiety, and they're actually trying to help, even if they're not very good at it sometimes.
So I think Mel and Vic are going to have a little chat about the video with you now. So we'll leave you to them.
Okay, so thank you. So hopefully you found that clip really useful to understand more about what anxiety is. Mel, was there anything in particular you found helpful watching that video?
Yes, well, I've watched this a few times now, but I guess the first time that I watched it, it was very much about kind of understanding and recognising that everybody feels anxiety, because I guess sometimes we have thoughts and we can feel like we're the only people that have them. So I thought that was really useful. I also thought about kind of recognising the brain a bit like an alarm system, so that it can't actually tell the difference sometimes between what's a real danger, so kind of like a car coming, or whether kind of you're just having a weird thought and your body responds in the same way. So I thought that they were two really good points that were highlighted through the video.
Yeah, I agree. I think knowing that we all feel anxious is a really good way to normalise worry. And especially when we're in those new situations and we're wondering kind of what's going to happen. And we kind of learn from that video that actually we know that anxiety can affect us all in different ways. But dealing with anxiety is a skill that we can learn, just like doing a new TikTok dance or learning a football skill, a football trick. We can kind of think about how we can help ourselves. But talking to people and talking to someone and sharing our worries is a really good start with that. So we're going to move on to the next slide. And for this one, we're going to think about how anxiety feels for us and how we know when we feel worried, because we often get a physical feeling in our body and sometimes it doesn't feel very nice. So we're going to think about that next.
Okay, so because we know that there's a really good kind of strong relationship between movement and our well-being, what we want everybody to do for the next activity, so we're all going to get involved in this and we want everybody to stand up behind their chairs. So we're going to give you a 10-second timer and all we want you to do in your classes is stand up behind your chairs, if that's okay. So Kath, could you put the 10-second timer on, please?
Okay, so hopefully everyone's been able to stand up and you're all standing up. We're just going to do a little bit of movement, like Mel said, just to sort of get us moving and get us being a bit active, because that's really good for our well-being. So what I'd like everyone to do is just shake your legs. So shake all your legs, shake your arms. You might even want to do a little whole body wiggle. Get yourself moving. Sometimes it's good to wiggle your fingers. So get yourself moving. Okay, good. Okay, so put your hands down by your side now. Okay. And what I want us to do is think about a time when we were anxious. And I know for me, I mentioned earlier that I was a little bit worried about coming to the session today because it's something new that I've never done before. And for me, I knew I was anxious. I knew I was feeling worried because I had all little butterflies in my tummy. I also knew because my palms felt a bit sweaty and my stomach felt a little bit sick. So they were the things that really made me know that I'm worried. What about you, Mel? What kind of things do you notice?
Yeah, so I think for me it's often I get really shaky, so particularly my legs. I shake my legs quite a lot. I can get quite a dry throat, so I can sometimes struggle to speak. I can also quite lightheaded, so quite dizzy as well. I remember again once back in school when I had an exam and I completely went into the freeze mode and I got all of these symptoms. So knowing what they are now has been really, really helpful for me.
Yeah. Okay. If there's any others that we haven't mentioned, you can just put them on the Padlet because it'd be really good to hear if there's anything we haven't talked about. But what I want you to do now while you're standing up is to just show us if you've ever felt any of those symptoms of anxiety in your body by just putting your hands out in front of you and wiggling your fingers. So if you've ever felt those butterflies in your tummy, or if you've ever felt that sicky feeling, or if you've ever felt the headaches or the sweaty palms or your heart really, really pounding, just give us a little wiggle. And what I want you to do is look around your class now, and what you probably will see is that most people or all of you will be standing up, showing us that you feel physical anxiety in your body, that you feel something when you're worried in your body. And recognising that feeling of anxiety is really helpful, because that's when we can go for help. That's when we can find ways to help ourselves. And it's really important that we can recognise that and we can go and get help. So I'd like you to just sit down now and we can go to Fran and Fern and think about some helpful ways to help with our anxiety when we're feeling like this.
So we want to think about Alex, and Alex is a year 6 pupil who is going to be thinking about starting secondary school. He's really excited and he's really looking forward to starting something new, really excited about meeting new people, but he also has some worries that he's carrying around with him. So Alex is thinking, what if I get lost? You know, we talked about that before and some of you said that's something that you're worrying about as well. What if there is too much work to do, or what if the work is too hard? What if I forget my lunch? So where do I go? What do I do? Also nervous about getting the bus. So that might be something that you're doing differently than when you're at primary school. And again, will I make new friends? And I know a lot of people, when you did your voting earlier, said that was something you were worried about as well. So what we are going to do is have a think about how we can lighten that bag a little bit for Alex, how we can help him with some of those worries. So Fran, having a think about this, what advice would you give Alex if he was getting nervous about getting the bus to school?
Well, I think we could take some advice from the students before for the year 7s about preparing and practicing now, because Alex has got the whole of the 6 weeks holiday, hasn't he, to get ready for September. So we could start now to do things that will increase his confidence by going on the bus more, maybe with people he trusts, but taking a bit of ownership of getting off at the right stop, paying himself more, to, engaging with the driver himself, so he gets that confidence in doing that. He could also take more charge when he goes into the shops maybe and back paying for stuff himself, so he's practicing that. Walking different routes home from anywhere really, just doing things that he doesn't know what the outcome's going to be. And the more he does that, he'll learn that he can cope with it. It might not be easy and it might not go smoothly, but he can cope with whatever's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And I said before, didn't I, that I was really nervous about getting the bus when I started secondary school. And one of the things that I did was practice getting the bus, but I went with a couple of my friends, so I didn't have to do it on my own the first few times. So I think, yeah, what Fran was saying was that actually what we're normally kind of nervous and worried about are things that we're uncertain about. So like Fran said, doing things that, you know, might challenge us a little bit, like paying for things in the shop or like taking a different route home from school. They're really good things that you can do to practice, you know, sort of building your confidence. What we're going to do is we're going to ask you to now think about what advice you would give Alex. So we're going to give you 2 minutes to work in your class, so whether that's in pairs or as a group, and have a think about what advice you would give him. So we're going to give you 2 minutes, and we're going to put a timer up on the screen again for you. Well, so hopefully you've had a chance to have a think about what advice you would give Alex. If you want to share it in the Padlet so we can see what some of the things you suggested are, that would be great. We're going to kind of give you some more ideas now, but we're really excited to see what you've come up with as well. So one of the things that you could do is think about getting a map of your new school. So quite a few of you were saying, weren't you, that, you know, you were worried about getting lost. So, you know, you can sometimes find maps of your school on the website, so that's something you could look into. It might be that you could talk to your friends who might be joining the school too, and you could maybe have a chat with them about things you could do to prepare. And again, just look on the school website, have a little read and find out about what subjects are there, and find out about what the school does, what trips they do. That can be a really good way of finding out more about your school. And Fran kind of mentioned this already. So practice buying your own food and drinks, because when you're in sort of high school, that's something that you're going to have to get used to doing. You might be doing it already, which is great, but you know, practicing that can make you feel a bit more confident. Think and write down questions that you want to ask at your new school. So on your first day, are there things that you want to know, things that you want to find out? I know that some people have said on the Padlet about one thing you could do is practicing the bus route during the summer holiday, and I think that's a really good idea. And that's one of the next ones that we were going to say. So well done. So planning your route. So even if you're walking, it might be good to practice that walk as well. Okay. Practice packing the things you might need for school. So you might want to take different things with you in your bag, and it's a really good idea to kind of work out what it is you want to put in your bag and practice doing that. And finally, start practicing writing in a diary. Now, some of you might use these already, but a lot of secondary schools and high schools will use planners or diaries to track their homework, to write messages from teachers and from families, so you can kind of keep in contact with the school. So practicing that can be a really good way of building that confidence. Okay. Someone else on the chat has said, talk to your parents or siblings or a trusted adult. I think that's such good advice. And if you are getting worried about something, talking to somebody is one of the best ways to help, definitely. And someone else has actually said something about taking deep breaths and just trying your best. And that's excellent, because that leads on to the activity we're going to do in a second. And we're going to practice doing a breathing activity and an activity that will help you kind of take control of your worries a little bit. Another school has said, check your school's website and look for what their lunch routines are. So what time the lunches are, how long they are. So again, that's really good advice. And asking for help. So, you know, if you're there on your first day and you are feeling worried, you know, all the teachers and the staff there, they know that you're going to be feeling worried. So definitely ask for help, because that's the best way, isn't it? That you can kind of find your way or work something out or get a question answered. Okay. So what we are going to do is have a little go at something called a grounding activity. Some of you might have done this before. So this is one thing you can do to help reduce those sort of worry feelings, okay? So if you're kind of got all these thoughts going in your head and you're getting overwhelmed by feeling a bit nervous, you can do this activity called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 activity. Now, what we want you to do is to have a go at doing this with us. So I'm going to explain it, and Fran's going to have a go at doing it as well. And we're going to give you a chance to have a go. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is list 5 things that you can see. Okay. So have a little look around. Think about what 5 things you can see. Okay. So Fran, what 5 things are around you at the moment?
Okay. So I can see my computer. I can see a plant. I can see some fruit. I can see a glass, and I can see my pen.
Excellent. Then we're going to think about 4 things that you can feel. So things that you can touch, things that you can feel on your skin at the moment. So have a think about at the moment what things around you that you can feel. So go on, Fran, tell us what your 4 things are.
Okay, so I can feel my feet on the floor, grounding on the floor. I can feel my legs on the back of my chair. I can feel my hands on the mouse on the computer, and I can feel the table underneath my other elbow.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so then the third one is things that you can hear. So thinking about the sounds that are around you, what do you notice? Okay, so go on, Fran, tell us what your 3 things are.
Okay, so first I can hear somebody's building somewhere in the street. There's some banging going on, like someone's hammering or something. I can hear birds. They're quite active in the garden today, and I can hear your lovely voice, Fern.
Oh, thanks, Fran. How nice of you. So the second thing we're going to do is 2 things that you can smell. So it might be, you know, you might be able to smell things that have been cooked at school. It could be anything. So go on, Fran, tell us what 2 things you can smell at the moment.
So at the moment I can smell coffee. I've just had a coffee and chewing gum.
One of my things at the moment is I've actually got a fresh cardigan on. It smells like my washing and my fabric conditioner, and I love that smell. Okay, so the last one, and this is probably one of my favourite ones, is list 1 thing, your absolute favourite thing that you like to taste. Now, I think I know what Fran's going to say, but we'll see what she says. So go on, Fran, tell us what your favourite thing is to taste.
It's the chocolate. It's no secret, is it? Chocolate is my favourite.
Yeah, and we know we all do like chocolate cake as well. I was just saying, actually, the other day, chocolate's my favourite as well, but particularly chocolate orange. And I've just tried that new Cadbury's chocolate orange. Have you tried that, Fran?
Yeah, I've tried the buttons, the chocolate orange.
I think that's my new favourite. That's definitely going to be my number 1. Okay, so this activity can be a really useful thing to do if you are feeling worried and you've got lots of thoughts going around your mind and you feel nervous. It can be sometimes really hard to kind of distract yourself a little bit from those thoughts. So this activity is one thing you can do to try and calm yourself a little bit and try and take your attention away from those sort of feelings of being nervous. So this is definitely something that you can have a practice doing and something you can use, especially in the run up to changing and moving schools. Okay. So one of the other things that we wanted to talk about, and this was mentioned by you guys, is really important to talk to somebody if you are feeling worried. And we wanted to tell you a little bit about a service called Kooth. This is something that you can get online, so you can do it on your phone or on a laptop or an iPad or whatever it might be. And this is available every day of the week. On a Monday to Friday, it's at about 12 till 10, so 10 p.m. So most of the day it's available. At the weekends, it's available in the evenings. And this is a really good service that you can have and you can access to have a chat to somebody about what you're worried about. We just wanted to tell you because we think it's brilliant and something that's really useful for a lot of young people. So I think Fran's going to let us know about this, and she's just on mute at the moment.
Yeah, so this is a little activity that we're sending out to your teachers that you can do today, or you can do it another time. It's just helping you to think about how you've changed a lot already and how you're probably happy with these changes. So when we're thinking about going to high school, it's a massive change for you, isn't it? But actually, you, like we heard from those year sevens, you will end up in year 7 looking back on this time thinking, oh yeah, remember when I worried about that, and you'll have got through it and you will have coped. So this activity is going to help you to link your change in education to a positive thought and feeling.
We've just seen on the Padlet wall that a lot of people are talking about feeling very worried, particularly around being the youngest in school and maybe about bullying. That's definitely something. So what we're going to be doing is sending some resources and sort of some recorded workshops to your schools in the future. And we're going to cover some of those topics. So you'll be able to get a little bit of extra help with those as well. But I think it's really normal to be worried about those things. And as you've seen, that a lot of people have said that they're things that they're worried about as well. And when we were talking to West Derby and Fazakerley earlier, they said that actually the schools have got things in place to make sure that bullying is dealt with properly and that you've got help when, you know, if anything did happen like that. What we would like you to do, just as a final activity, is to have a think about really what your number is. So we started off at the beginning and you told us what your raw number was, and I know I was a 6 when I started, and I think that I'm probably more like an 8 now, because I've really enjoyed this session. It's been lovely having all your feedback from the Padlet. What about you, Fran? How are you feeling at the moment?
Yeah, I think I've gone up 1 as well. I was 7 before, but I think I'm definitely an 8 now. I feel like we've got really great feedback. Everyone's been listening and really, really thoughtful over their answers.
Oh, well, it'd be really good if you could hold your hands up and show your teacher what your number is now. I think, has it changed from the beginning? And then maybe you could let us know on the Padlet again what your average number is for your classes. So that'll be brilliant. And for the very last thing for you to have a think about is, what are you going to take away from today? So this could be something you can do just towards, as we finish the session. So 3 things that you have learned from today that maybe you didn't know before, 2 things that you've enjoyed about the session, and 1 question that you still might have. Okay, and this is really useful for us as well to see, what you've kind of taken away from today and what we could do to make things better for you. So again, if we want to put a 2-minute timer up, just so you've got a chance to have a bit of a think of those, and then you can let us know in the Padlet. That would be great.
Oh, that's great. So we can see from the Padlet that there's lots of increases on the raw rainbows, lots of 6 and 7s moving up to 8s, which is really good. If anybody feels like they're feeling low on that rainbow and they it's not really helping and there's still got some big worries, then we'd ask you to speak to your teachers about that, or when you go home, speak to your adults so that they can help you to find the right support. So thanks for listening to us today. We hope that you're looking forward to the move up to high school, but just to keep in mind that if you do have worries, that's okay. It's really normal to be worried about this big change, and there's lots of things that you can do to help yourself, but if you find that you do need that little bit of support, that's okay as well. There's lots of help around there for you.
Oh yeah, thanks everyone for spending the time with us today. It's been lovely, especially hearing all your feedback as well.